Hey guys, before we get into the stories, just want to give you some context on what's going to be happening this episode. I'm going to be creating a grass bed for the cave base. I like the look of grass, especially underground, so I'll be creating some dirt and spreading some grass down here. I'm also continuing to try to find a sustainable food source, and for that, I think I'm going to start a pig farm, which you'll see in this episode as well. So those are the two main goals gameplay-wise for this episode. Alright, enjoy the stories. So to preface this, we were not having loving mommy and daddy vanilla sex. My wife is not that kind of woman. I would never describe her like this to anyone without it being anonymous, but my wife is a certified freak. On the outside, she looks like a normal 40-year-old wife and mother, but that woman is a kinky, depraved sex machine. She loves being tied up, blindfolded, choked, degraded, walked on a leash, etc. She is hypersexual and hypersensitive. I've seen her have 9 orgasms back to back. The kinks in the bedroom are all her idea. Which isn't to say that I don't enjoy our sex life, but she's truly insatiable and it can be a lot sometimes. Through the years with 2 children, it's been harder for us to arrange time to indulge, but now that our son is in college and our daughter is going to be graduating this year and also going to college, we're very excited to have more time for ourselves. My daughter was going to a sleepover party at her best friend's house. We told her to have fun and be safe. The second she was out of the house, my wife said, "Meet me in the basement in 20 minutes. I knew what I had to do. I went down there and dusted off the large wooden chest that I keep buried away and locked. I set up the bondage table, got her favorite clamps, the lube she likes, her blindfold, made sure the vibrator was charged, the plug was ready to go, and got the rope ready. I'll spare the details, but my daughter came home early and unannounced. She heard screaming in the basement, my wife is loud when she classes, and walked in on her mother, bound and restrained with blindfold and clamps on, brains out while I used a vibrator on her, and I was completely naked except for a latex mask. Obviously, she screamed and ran, and it took a lot to calm her down. I untied my wife, and we got dressed and talked to her about what she saw. She kept apologizing, and we told her she didn't do anything wrong and there's nothing to apologize for, but we're so sorry that she saw that. This was just last night, so things are still really awkward. This was legitimately the most embarrassing moment of my life, and I really hope we didn't permanently scar our daughter. I have terminal cancer and opted to cease treatment. I don't want to suffer 6 months of torture just to live 6 more months when I can die in 3 but be high as a kite every day. I have about $500,000 in my pension and recently cashed out 2 life insurance policies worth $1 million each. I don't have debt. Originally, my beneficiary was my niece, but she found meth and there's no way I'm giving a tweaker $2.5 million. At first I thought my family cared about me, but they were just jockeying for my money. They've gotten to the point where they openly badmouth each other to me and fight like cats and dogs. The worst is my sister-in-law. She wants the inheritance to pay off her debts and their family home because she's planning on divorcing my brother. My other sister doesn't need the money and would probably spend it on her spoiled kids. My other sister is a loser and her kids are all f***ed up. Her daughter is the tweaker. If I leave it to my mom, then she'll give it to my siblings. I have an aunt who doesn't want the money. I told everyone they will all get a piece of the pie, sister-in-law included. Reality is that I'm not leaving them shit. I'm leaving it all to help Ukrainian kids. Reality is that I'm not leaving them shit. I won the lottery about 7 years ago. Between my annuity and profits made from investments, all net, I get shy of $800,000 a year. I was stunned that I had won. Once I confirmed that I won, I started to tell people. I thought they'd be happy for me. They were happy for me for a minute, and then they started to ask me for money. Friends and family, they told people. I was literally getting 10 calls a day from people asking for money. My favorite was the sister of my coworker saying she needed rent money, and a friend asking me to buy them a $20,000 ring for a girl he'd been dating only for a few months, and she was f***ing other guys on the side. Some people successfully used me, and I cut them off. I still helped some people, but I had to cut them off because they were asking me for money only to give it to others or using the money for something different. It was very traumatic. I even had a therapist try to rip me off by asking me for a cash tip after our sessions. I was spending more money on people than on myself. It's ironic that I have more money than I need, yet I can't give it away because it brings nothing but problems. People make generosity not worth it. People want me to finance their best lives and have an arrangement exclusively on their terms. I will never understand why people can accept one thing without trying to get more. I chalk it up that people in my life had no respect for me. My brother is blessed to have 3 kids. His youngest is 9 and has been battling cancer most of his life. Unfortunately, it came back with a vengeance and he's currently in hospice. My brother has been completely MIA. I've literally been with my nephew every day since January. My brother and his baby mama figured that Uncle Bobby is handling everything so they can focus on the older kids. They're avoiding having to deal with their child dying, but they rarely visit. My brother is high on pills most of the day. I have no idea how he's going to deal with that when his son dies. I'm infuriated that my brother isn't here. It's so f***ed up. All he says is thank you for being there with my nephew, like I'm doing it for him. I don't even bother to give him updates. My nephew just sleeps a lot and probably won't make it to April. I decided that when my nephew passes, I'm going to beat the f*** out of my brother. I'm going to beat him so badly that he'll remember it. There's no way he's getting away with this. For context, I own 15 acres of farmland with livestock. This wasn't a choice of malice or cruelty, but last resort after heartbreak. Neighbor let his mutt run loose across his property and over into mine. It aggravated and stressed my livestock, tore into garbage, killed one of my barn cats, and last week attacked my beloved dog, which led to their death. All the while, I'm telling my neighbor to keep his dog on his property, stating he can't control what his dog does, and said, remember that when I take you to court. I'm still beside myself and said enough was enough. Usually comes raising hell in early morning, so I sat my rifle on the porch day before yesterday. Sure enough, yesterday morning, here was coming onto my property and starts chasing my chickens around outside their pens. I scream at it to leave. Final chance. I grab my rifle, not wanting to have to resort to this, but with my dog's death fresh on my mind and seeing his actions, I put it down one shot, dug a hole in the tree line and buried it unmarked. Hate that it went that far, but I'll be damned if I'm terrorized on my own property, especially after all I've lost. I'm a 31-year-old man with Klinefelter syndrome and a 2-inch erect micropenis. I've dealt with embarrassment and ridicule for most of my life because of the size of my genitals. Despite all the painful experiences during my teenage years, I always tried to push forward. Doctors would tell me that penis wasn't essential for sexual satisfaction, and I chose to believe them. I took the time to educate myself about sex and how to please a woman in other ways. When I was 22, I had my first girlfriend. Like most couples, we eventually reached the point of being intimate. I could tell she was a bit surprised or uncomfortable the first time she saw me naked, but after that initial moment, things seemed to go okay. She didn't want to perform oral sex on me, saying she just didn't like it, which I accepted. Everything else seemed fine. I focused on pleasing her using my hands and mouth, and she reached orgasm. I didn't finish myself, but it was my first time, so I didn't think much of it. Over time, our sex life became one-sided. It mostly involved me performing oral on her. There was no penetration, and I started to feel like I hadn't really lost my virginity. I brought it up once, but she said she was happy the way things were, so I didn't push. After about 4 months, a friend told me he had heard she was cheating on me with a guy from the mechanical engineering school. I didn't want to believe it, and I defended her, but the seed of doubt was already planted. Then one day I happened to see a WhatsApp notification pop up on her phone. Nothing obvious, but it made me curious. I asked her who he was, and her reaction made me suspicious. When I asked again, she snapped, saying, "Calm down, he's just a friend." I didn't know having a baby made you this insecure. That hurt deeply. After that, I started noticing more signs. She was emotionally distant, and any remaining intimacy felt like a chore, one where I gave and she never reciprocated. Eventually, my friend showed me screenshots of Facebook posts by the guy she was supposedly just friends with, clearly hinting there were more than that. I confronted her the same day. I probably should have waited, but I was angry. I showed her the post and asked what they meant. She didn't deny it. She just said there was no point pretending anymore. She told me she was never really happy, that she stayed with me out of pity, and that I should be grateful for that. I was stunned. I told her that if she didn't love me, she should have just left instead of treating me like this. Before I could finish, she suddenly kneed me in the testicles hard. I collapsed and she just said I was a loser virgin boy and walked away. She blocked me after that. Rumors spread quickly around the university. Somehow people believed that I had cheated on her and I became the bad guy. It was humiliating. But the worst part came later, when I had a run-in with the guy she had cheated with. I was alone in a chemistry lab late one evening, went to the bathroom, and he came in. He stood next to me at the urinal and started talking, mocking me and saying disgusting things about my ex. He told me how skilled she was in bed and how she could do things for him that she never did for me. He even said she showed him photos of me and laughed about my situation. I tried to stay calm and leave, but he blocked the door, trying to provoke a fight. I just told him I didn't want any trouble. His final words were, "Guess she popped your little balls with that knee, huh?" Then he let me go. I went home and cried that night. It was the most humiliating experience of my life. That relationship shattered my self-esteem and distorted my view of sex and intimacy. 9 years have passed since then. I've had 4 more relationships. Every one of them ended because of my condition. I've had other painful experiences, but nothing ever hit as hard as the first one. That experience broke something in me. If you made it this far, thank you for reading. It really means a lot. This was one of the most painful experiences of my life, and I've carried the weight of it for years. It wasn't the last time I suffered in a relationship, unfortunately. There was another one later on that involved both physical and psychological abuse. It's something I still struggle to put into words, but I hope to share it one day when I'm ready. It was a situation where I probably should have taken legal action, but didn't at the time. For now, I just needed to get this off my chest. Thank you again to anyone who took the time to listen. Title says it all. Doesn't even feel real. I drove 18 hours to see my grandpa in another part of the country because his health is declining rapidly, and I wanted to ensure I saw him at least one more time. I took Tuesday through Sunday off from work and planned on driving back on the last 2 days of my time off. 12-hour drive, sleep at a hotel, and then the final 6-hour drive home. However, I decided I could drive the 18 hours in one shot and didn't need to get a hotel to rest as I was doing just fine on the road. I make it back at 4 a.m. this morning, and as I walked up my driveway, I hear music blasting from inside the house. I thought that this was strange, as my fiancé is usually asleep by 1 to 2 a.m. and never plays music that loud, let alone at 4 a.m. I walk in the house and into the bedroom where I found my ex-future wife, who's 25 by the way, literally giving oral to a girl that couldn't have been older than 18 or 19. She sees me walk in and immediately gets up and starts crying hysterically. My jaw hits the floor and I immediately head back to my truck with my fiancé following me outside, butt-ass naked. I didn't even know she was into women, and now I get to see her fucking another girl. I got in my truck, went to the local motel to sleep and think, and now I just woke up with a million texts from her and I have no idea what to do except for write this. I love my girlfriend very dearly, and what she does for people is very heartwarming and overall incredible for having to do it for free for those with mobility issues, severe depression, and such. When she first brought it up over a year ago, I couldn't help but be skeptical because it costs money and time. But when we first did it for our late neighbor, who was a hoarder, I loved the feeling of how happy she was to finally see the floor and finally breathe in something fresh. So I stood by her side as we did our small little business, and then when I wasn't able to help her one time due to work and family issues, I was surprised to find out that she took videos of her cleaning and edited it. She posted it on YouTube and TikTok, and of course it was slow, but with more uploads and new customers needing help, soon her channel and accounts gained attention, and every day she got more than 1,000 followers and likes. It was an incredible feeling, especially seeing her so happy to see others wanting to help. So that's when our business grew and people donated and we traveled helping those in need. But it started becoming overwhelming when people started asking for help in other countries, and with my job, I couldn't. But my girlfriend kept insisting that she would, so sometimes she would go without me, which honestly concerns me. I began to notice how little time we spent together because whenever she came back home, she went straight to our computer to look through emails to see who to help. She'll edit her videos and post them, and I was supportive because this made her so happy and I didn't want to take the stars out of her eyes. But she traveled so much and I miss her dearly, and soon she didn't want to cuddle or relax on the couch with me anymore. She's in meetings with big companies over prices with cleaning supplies, dump delivery, flights, food, furniture, and other things that she soon stopped being herself. We ate separately and even slept separately as she'll stay up late to edit her videos or going through applications. I tried talking to her about it, which started a big argument, and she accused me of being selfish as I don't know what it's like to be depressed. I understand the struggles, but it wasn't fair on my part, so I apologized so she can be happy. She soon stopped talking to me much and would only kiss me and say goodbye while she traveled. Sometimes I'll come with her and help her clean, but apparently she didn't like how I cleaned, so she stopped taking me with her. I tried so many times, and she still argues with me and it hurts. I love her so very much and she means the entire world to me, and I want to propose to her someday, but she isn't being herself anymore. The only time I ever see my girlfriend is in her videos. Seeing that gorgeous smile and that incredible laugh and how she talked to her viewers, I miss her so much. She's traveling so much to help others that she didn't have time for me. I know it may be selfish, but she only spends time in our house if I'm lucky enough for a week. She cancels our dinners because she needs to clean houses and travel. She doesn't even tell me that she booked a flight until that day, on our 5th anniversary. And I booked a very expensive restaurant that I thought she would love, and it took months for me to get this spot, and I was so excited because she promised me she was going to stay. But of course, when it was close to that day, she needed to help a customer and told me to cancel the reservation. I tried telling her that I wanted to spend our anniversary together, and she snapped at me as if spending time with me was a chore itself. She even stopped cleaning our house, which is fine as she always cleans for others. But she throws trash on the floor and leaves dirty dishes everywhere and her clothes. She stopped caring completely. All she cares about is her channel and her online persona. I don't know how much longer I could take this. And it hurts so much because I feel selfish, and maybe I am, but I want to be loved again. I want my girlfriend back, and not this shell of a person I once knew. I want to try to work things out if she'll listen, and I don't want to stop her from doing something incredible, but I just don't think I can take this much longer. I live with my mom. She's quiet, keeps to herself, never bothers anyone. A few months ago, our new neighbor decided to report her to the city for having an illegal shed in the backyard. It was total BS. The shed's been there for years and has full permits. An inspector came out, checked everything, and left without saying a word. But the neighbor, smug, proud, thought he'd scared us, so I did a little digging. Turns out his brand new pool was way too close to the property line and illegally built over utility easement. I reported him. Attached photos, quoted city codes. 2 weeks later, the city ordered him to either move it, impossible, or fill it in. He lost the whole thing, $40,000 down the drain, literally. Now he gets to look at our completely legal shed every day while standing over a pile of dirt where his pool used to be. Mom sleeps great now. I've had cancer for 2 years now. Did chemo, lost my leg, beat odds, and managed to even go back to work. Well, shit hit the fan and treatment stopped working. Probably got weeks, maybe a couple of months at best. I'm 22, I don't own a house, I don't own my car, have maybe 2,000 pounds in the bank. So I took out a credit card, 6,500 limit, 0% APR for 20 months. I was previously building up a good credit score, and I'm now buying whatever the fuck I want. The debt will die with me and I give no fucks. And if you want to beef me about driving your bank fees up with this behavior, at least you get to live. Edit. Thank you all for your amazing responses. Unfortunately, it's bone cancer that has spread through my whole body, so I'm too weak now to travel far, as much as I would have wanted to see the world. I'm gonna go bigger and do some good stuff if you have ideas. I want to do some big donations to food banks and cancer charities that supported me through my journey. Also, shame on all of you for asking me for money. Update 2. Took out some more cards, thanks for the suggestions. Some of you asking, I'm a girl. I bought lots of things for my family, mostly sentimental things with my handwriting on. I bought a crab at a fancy-ass seafood place. That was awesome. I've donated to animal shelters and food banks. Also to the cancer charities who helped drag my ass through this. Also, can y'all stop telling me to find Jesus? I respect those of you who are praying for me, because I know that's your way of thinking of me, and I'm really touched by that. But finding God is in no way in my plans, and not what I believe will happen after death. Trying to force religion down a dying person's throat is really not the vibe. Update 3. Still hanging on. I've deteriorated quite a lot now. Lost a lot of functionality in my body at this point, so I'm bedbound and mostly just watching lots of TV and seeing family. But I'm comfortable, eating apples and cheese and a lot of little treats. Thank you all for still checking in and thinking of me. I'm really fortunate to be surrounded by my friends and family right now. When you boil it all down in the end, that's really all you need. Anyway, I'll try to update again soon. I'm 30 now, but this started when I was around 27, during a phase where I was trying really hard to be one of those put-together adults who meal prep, drink sparkling water, and have plants that aren't just dying slowly in the corner. So I bought a 12-pack of LaCroix because, that's what the cool, healthy people were drinking. First sip, it tasted like someone whispered the word fruit into a cup of TV static. Absolutely disgusting. But I had already posted it on my Instagram story with the caption, "New addiction, lol." That was the beginning of my downfall. Friends started bringing LaCroix over when they visited, coworkers stocked it in the office fridge because I liked it. My girlfriend, now fiance, thought it was cute how into sparkling water I was, so she bought me a soda stream for Christmas. Now I'm in too deep. I become the guy who nods thoughtfully while drinking what is essentially spicy sadness. I have flavors in my fridge with names like pamplemousse and limoncello, and I pretend that I can tell the difference. I can't. It all tastes like carbonated regret. Sometimes I just want a normal drink. But if I ever open a Gatorade, someone will say, "Whoa, no LaCroix today?" and I'll just fake laugh like, haha, gotta switch it up. Meanwhile, my soul is quietly screaming. Anyway, if you're young and reading this, never lie about your beverages. That stuff will haunt you. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Back in college, early 2000s, one semester I took out several books for a big research project. This was back when internet research was not admissible and you needed to properly cite all your sources. School and life got away from me and I forgot about them for a while. That was until the end of the semester when I got a late library dues bill in the mail. I think the fees were 25 cents per book per day, if not more, and I had at least 10 books over a month late. I didn't have any money, and if you had outstanding library dues, you could not get your grades or transcript for the semester. Instead of sheepishly returning the books and paying the fines, I put my books in my backpack, smuggled them into the library, and returned them all to their correct places on the shelves. I then called the library the next day and questioned the validity of the letter regarding my overdue books. The librarian left me on hold for a few minutes and returned to the phone apologizing to me that it seemed the books had in fact been returned. Library dues were erased and they didn't hold back my transcript. Married a 40-year-old when I was 19. Started dating when I was 17. Yes, it was gross, but that's what happened. The only reason he married me is because I was hot. The only reason I married him is because he had money. I actually do have other redeeming characteristics, but he married me because I was hot. I know this. Everyone knows this. It doesn't feel great, but I can deal with it. We've been married 20 years, 4 kids, so we're stable and have lots in common at this point. And we do love each other. But if I could go back and slap myself, I would. What nobody tells you, or they try and you don't listen because you're a dumbass teenager, is that marrying like this means you will f***ing owe him. For everything. Every goddamn day. Not just in the bedroom, but in every other matter in your life. The stuff you never imagined someone else trying to decide for you. And you don't just owe him for the money, it's a lot heavier than that. He'll never say it out loud, but you know the deal. Fundamentally unequal. He'll pull rank at the most random times and it will make you feel like you're falling through the floor. I don't hate my life or anything. I accept that I made this bed and I have to lie in it, but I wouldn't recommend it to anyone else. My oldest daughter is 2 years younger than I was when I met my husband, and I can't imagine. Hope you enjoyed that episode. In the next one, we're going to focus more on exploration. I'll be exploring more of this cave to try to restock some iron and maybe diamond. I'm going to see if I can find a saddle so we can tame a horse so we can get around a lot quicker since this area is pretty big and the biomes are a little spread out here. And we'll keep trying to find a sustainable food source so we can go longer and explore underground or above ground without having to come back to home base. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.